The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk, powered by thegorillaposition.com and a proud part of the Roar Network. Presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network. Also now in association with IndiePW.com. We are sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you can get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast at the checkout. Also now in partnership with HypeCityVapors.com, where you can get 15% off all your e-juice for your vape by using promo code JKPodcast. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TB Talk Pod. To listen to the podcast, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all those other podcatchers out there as well. As always, I'm Big Joe.
And I'm Karl Karufel.
Yes, Karl, another week has come and gone in the world of professional wrestling. This has been a pretty wild and kind of unprecedented type of week here, Karl. I mean, we've been making hints out of it not only on our podcast previously, but myself on HTM Tech, Rick and Jargo over on Hitting the Marks, you name it. No secret, elephant in the room, the coronavirus is it's getting pretty crazy. Even here in Canada, we're seeing a lot of closures and a lot of craziness going on, man.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
But I feel fine.
Yeah, you feel fine.
Wow, like this, 100%. This is. I don't know if really we're using the right words. I don't know if we should be using pandemic or if we should just be using endemic or what we should be doing. But they're classifying it as a pandemic right now. Yeah. Wow, lots of crazy stuff happening. We're seeing restaurants that are closing and only offering takeout or delivery. Yep. The Tim Hortons is doing the same thing. Yep. We've got gyms that are closed down. Just here locally, the Good Life, the Fit for Less, and as of today, the YMCA have all shut down.
Casinos. What's another one?
Casinos, yeah. All the casinos in Ontario shut down.
The border, and the border coming into non-Canadian citizens. That would pretty much just happen just before we hit the record button.
That's right.
And I mean, it's like every time I look on social media or news on TV, there's something else. There's some other type of closure, some other type of restriction happening.
And I mean, for us in this world of professional wrestling, it is being affected greatly.
Big time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen where SmackDown, for the first time in history, did a show with no one in the audience. We're seeing that Monday Night Raw is supposed to be the same thing coming out of the Performance Center with nobody in the audience.
Yep.
And then we've got different arenas that are closing down. We've got All Elite Wrestling right now that is kind of like going, what are we going to do right now for their Double or Nothing that was supposed to happen? Yep. Because they're closing the arenas down as well and saying that any gathering of 250 people or more, shut it down.
From what I've been hearing, the number is lower now. I've been hearing to anywhere from like 100 down to like 50 people they're restricting in certain places. So, I mean, that's going to start making places that can be open. It's going to be a pretty short list, like any kind of department stores, shopping centers. I mean, it's like it's all the dominoes are going to start falling over at some point here, and it's honestly it's a little scary. And like I mentioned at the top, it's kind of unprecedented. We haven't really seen. So yeah, unprecedented is about the best word I can kind of word things here, Karl. We're seeing things that outside of the SARS scare that happened, geez, I don't even know how many years ago that was now, and even that didn't get anywhere near to that level. It was a bit of a scare, but we weren't seeing businesses being shut down and travel being restricted and just you name it. It's like everything. It's getting to the point now where we're going to be kind of isolated to our homes, and if stores, like especially essential places like you were talking before we hit the record button, with like grocery stores and stuff like that start shutting down, we have potential for some scary situations.
We definitely do. And I mean, we're talking restaurants, we're talking grocery stores, we're talking shopping centers as well. And I mean, you take even in Canada, the biggest one, West Edmonton Mall, if that shuts down, that's how many employees for probably at least a minimum of 3 weeks that are going to be without work. Now, mind you, the government has kind of put things into place so that there is like a temporary EI benefit that's going to be available for these situations. We get that, but yeah, like this is going to be just nuts. And you talked about SARS. They even had a musical benefit for SARS in Toronto. That everyone came to. I remember that time because the wife and I had just recently got together. So we're looking.
I was actually at that show too.
17 years ago now. Right. And then the wife and I, we were just starting to date, just starting to see each other.
It's been that long.
We actually had taken a vacation, a little trip. We went to Niagara Falls in July, or in the end of June into July. And we got, at that time, it was the Brock Plaza Hotel, which was one of the ritzy hotels in Niagara, right down by the falls. And we got it for like $89 a night, which was unprecedented. You never heard of that, especially at somewhere like the Brock.
It's cheap.
Yeah, like I mean, normal room rates are looking $180 to $220 per night. We got for $89 because of this. Even then, we didn't see what's happening now with the world today. I mean, even Italy. we take a look at Italy. The entire thing is shut down.
Yeah, they're effed pretty much as a country, for lack of a better term. And you had mentioned the SARS benefit contract. That was actually something that I was there in person in the crowd for that. And it was weird because we had this kind of supposedly like the sickness kind of going along. It's like, let's have a big gathering of people. That's not counterproductive whatsoever.
Right.
But for me, just the real kind of standout thing there was the headliners, the Rolling Stones, were horrible. I mean, they were ghastly. I mean, just like it was like a performance that was like booked by Vince McMahon bad, right? So it was just horrible. And then thankfully AC/DC came on and salvaged the show, and most of the other acts were really good, but Stones were awful, just saying. So disappointing because when you have a chance to see legendary rock and roll band performing, your expectations are exceedingly high, and then but I digress on that. So you had mentioned SmackDown being done from the performance there. I actually watched SmackDown for the first time in a long time, this show. It was weird, man. It was weird.
Right?
And I'm so torn about how I felt about it because I liked some aspects of it, but some other aspects of it were just typical WWE horrid. But at the same time, there were some aspects that I liked. It seemed like they almost kind of were like kind of improvising kind of on the fly. Those aspects of it I liked. But wow, like I almost feel that maybe doing nothing would have been better. I don't know how you feel about the performing to an empty house thing, but I mean the audience, you can make the argument that that's almost kind of half of the show, basically cut out. The audience is what the performers thrive off of. It adds to the atmosphere of the whole thing. It was weird.
It definitely was, and I think probably the weirdest thing for me, Miz and Morrison, and it was just, I don't know. I think that could have been maybe done in the back somewhere, as opposed to in the ring, because you're in the ring, you're there to perform for the cameras and for the people that are there. It just felt really off. I guess you could say.
For me, just the whole thing, it felt dry. Just because, like I had mentioned, that there's no audience there providing reactions, or, like I said, for the performers to feed off of. Some of the stuff with Triple H and Cole, I thought was kind of fun at some points, but then kind of came off as almost kind of douchey in some points. I know douchey is not really a term, but it's about the only way I could kind of think to word it. And yeah, it was comedic to a certain point, but then it kind of felt almost kind of, I don't know. Just the whole thing was so weird, and it just having Hunter there doing commentary, it felt so kind of self-indulgent almost. Like he's there just kind of stroking his own ego type of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one kind of seeing it that way. Just it's every aspect of it just felt so off. I liked a little bit of. It seemed like they were just kind of improvising and not a whole lot of storyline kind of going on. Just
Yes.
I don't know, man. Just I'm so torn. Just like the booking, I'm very very 50 on this whole situation when it comes to, at least with SmackDown. With Raw, and especially with it being a 3-hour show, I don't know if they're still going to go ahead with the 3-hour format. Yeah, that's going to be bizarre.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's going to be very, very weird to kind of see how they're going to do things. And yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't typically what you see.
No.
So it was hard to kind of get into it, I guess you could say. It was just, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. One more thing I want to kind of touch on briefly, a non-WWE, with the AEW last week, with this whole, I don't know how you felt about this whole situation here, Karl, with Adam Page and his mystery partner in this match. I was really, really anticipating for it to be somebody new or some kind of legitimate surprise for his partner. I felt so robbed in the situation. I mean, I like Dustin, but just the way that the whole episode just felt like it was really just kind of like it was there, but there was nothing, no real kind of excitement for me in that whole episode. And for Dustin being this mystery partner, just felt like such a letdown.
Yeah,
Even the stuff with Lance Archer and Jake, I thought they could have done so much more than just had them sitting in the crowd.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you've mentioned it, my issue this week is unfortunately from AEW, and that is my issue. You had Jake come out and do this freaking amazing promo with Cody, and then all of a sudden you start the show with Cody, and you show Jake and Lance Archer sitting ringside. No!
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. You don't do that.
Yeah, you have Lance Archer or whatever they're going to call him. I mean, he is a bona fide ass kicker. I mean, he is a larger than life kind of presence. He should have, you could have had them there for a little bit, but then you had to have him come in and interfere, do some type of stuff there. And just, I felt it was such a missed opportunity for him to really kind of stamp, or to really kind of make his presence known there. And it felt like they cowered away from that opportunity. And missed opportunity, big time. I think it was a big ball drop on their.
Yeah, I think so as well. I honestly was hoping that they were going to play this out a little bit longer, because it was never said when this mystery person was going to be shown. Yeah. So we could have had another week or another 2 weeks even of Jake giving some amazing promos. Right. Or, just kind of teasing who this could be and stuff like that. I think personally, I would have rathered a couple more weeks of a tease before this actually happened.
I agree. The other thing too, my highlight of Dynamite was probably that little pre-taped segment that they did with Christopher Daniels with the making fun of the Dark Order. That was actually probably I thought the best part of the whole show. Christopher Daniels being Christopher Daniels, even making little hints about being the higher power when it kind of winking at the camera in that situation. I thought they did a really good job on that. But the show itself just left me disappointed. I gotta say that's probably the first time for AEW Dynamite as a show that I felt legitimately disappointed after watching it.
I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying I was disappointed. I mean, we still got some good professional wrestling that happened, and that's what we're looking for. Yeah. Even in the numbers, you take a look at the numbers. Yeah. They still did better than NXT.
That they did. Yeah.
Right. So this whole Wednesday night war that's going on, AEW was still the top of it.
It's very true.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're kind of running out of ideas. Maybe they're, I don't know what's happening there. I've heard speculations that like Tony Khan wanted to take over creative. So I don't know if that has actually happened and if maybe this is a result of Tony Khan taking over creative. I don't know.
Yeah.
But something's got to give right now because that was not their best.
No, absolutely not. One good thing that they did, though, is a little bit of a teaser, a little thing to kind of hook you in. Next week, apparently, hopefully this is still a go for this segment, is that they're finally going to reveal who this enlightened, or what is it? What do they call them? Not the higher power, but the enlightened. Is it the enlightened one or the empowered one, or what the hell are they calling him?
Sure.
The leader of the Dark Order. It's got to be Matt Hardy, you would think, right?
You would think. Yeah, definitely. You would think. Everything's been kind of teasing to it.
Yeah.
Even us. Follow us on our social media at TB Talk Pod. On Facebook, we even put a little thing out there that was tweeted out by All Elite Wrestling. And if you take a look at the entire thing, it's black with white writing. You follow it down, and the beginning of each line actually spells out Matt Hardy. So,
Yes.
I mean, speculations over things. Are they maybe Matt Hardy doesn't even have a contract with All Elite Wrestling right now, and they're just kind of using his name, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then we're seeing Matt Hardy even involving the Young Bucks in Matt Hardy's own YouTube stuff that he's doing, where, the Young Buck came and buried Matt Hardy, essentially is what happened. The super kicked him, put him into the ground and literally buried him in one of the episodes that Matt Hardy did. So given everything, it's still kind of maybe, but maybe not, especially if he's involving the Young Bucks, which, I mean, the Young Bucks really haven't had a whole lot of real interaction with the Dark Order.
No, not really, no.
So, right? So it's kind of playing who knows?
That would be a very forced kind of rivalry or program to do at that point. I mean, he's also been teasing really hard that he's going to Impact as well, and I think that would be a horrible mistake. Just my personal opinion. I said it before, my opinion is pretty polarizing when it comes to Impact Wrestling. We want to love them, but they shoot themselves in the foot just seemingly every turn, every possibility. So personally, I think that would professionally be a bad move on his part. Other than that, I mean, he would excel pretty much anywhere else. I still think that he's kind of still this kind of on the nose pick for this exalted one. That's the term, exalted one.
There you go.
And I'm sure I knew I was going to come up with that at some point. I feel like Matt Hardy is kind of the on the nose pick. So I'm okay if it's him, but I'm also okay if it's somebody else. Another quick thing on Dynamite here too. We did see somebody that we haven't seen in a little while. We saw Joey Janela back teaming up with Private Party, and a bit of an odd partnership there, but I thought that they did pretty good there. And it was kind of nice to see Joey back. I don't know if there was some kind of injury or if he had some other commitments going on. Yeah, but it was cool to see him back. Yeah,
I mean, I don't understand why they kind of stopped using him in the first place. He was being used on Dark.
Yeah, okay.
So if you've watched, AEW Dark, he was there.
Okay.
He was in matches,
there you go.
but just wasn't used on the main show. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened there, but maybe somebody just got pissed off and didn't like what he was doing or something and said, you need to go back and, train and whatever. Yeah. And we're just going to throw you onto Dark and then we'll make a decision from there and we'll see where things go.
Possible.
Right.
Yep.
So maybe that's a situation that happened. And it's only speculation. We have no clue right now, but I mean, that's about the only thing that I can see.
And same could be said with Jimmy Havoc too. We haven't seen him in a long time. I'm really, really behind on Dark. I've only seen a few of the kind of the first episodes of that. I know I should probably start watching Dark a bit more, but that's another guy just missing in action. Hopefully things are okay with him, or hopefully there's no kind of issues backstage or anything like that. Because I mean, he's a guy I've always kind of been a fan of. I know that he is a pretty decisive personality when it comes to being out of the ring. So hopefully he didn't shoot himself in the foot there.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a matter of him shooting himself in the foot or if anything was wrong at all. I think it's just a matter of AEW actually has a lot of talent.
They do, actually. Yep.
Right? So you've got 2 hours for a show.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to make sure that everybody is included in that 2 hours.
Yep.
Given the size of the roster that they have with the 2-hour show, if you were to try to ensure that everyone on the roster got some TV time, you would probably see everyone 1 in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe, right? So it's kind of hard to build storylines. It's kind of hard to do things in that respect. So use them for dark.
Mm-hmm.
Give that to the people for free like you have been doing on YouTube. And that's where you build the storylines. And then you start doing programs with them on television and referring back to the episodes of Dark.
Now, do you go as far as maybe creating another show at this point? I think it's probably a little too early for that. Eh?
I think it's too early for that as well. There's no need for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Their numbers are good, but they're not fantastic right now. There's really no professional wrestling organization that has fantastic numbers right now.
No.
So it's hard to kind of justify a second show. We talked about this months and months ago, using outlets like Twitch and using the outlets like YouTube to help promote your company and your brand. And I think that AEW has been doing that fantastically right now. And I think that that's a good thing to do and a good way to continue doing it.
Yeah, and they've been cross-promoting with other promotions. We saw Jeff Cobb over for that one brief stint. So, I think one show definitely would be jumping the gun. And you definitely don't want to make the WWE mistake that they did with Thunder. Because when you look back on that and that whole situation, I mean, that was one of the major downfalls of the company that led to the overall downfall, right? They got in over their head there, and then that show cost them too much to make, and then money started being an issue. With the Khan family, maybe not so much, because they have, I won't say unlimited funds. They do have a lot of money there, but even them at some point, when you look at the cost versus what you're getting out of it, something would have to give at some point, right? So
that's right.
Even when you have billionaires involved here, you still got to watch when it comes to the money.
Oh, yes.
All right, Karl. Well, I mean, other than, like we said at the top, man, just that there really hasn't, outside of SmackDown and Raw, Ring at the Performance Center, AEW, Dynamite, I mean, there just really hasn't been a whole lot to kind of watch and really talk about in wrestling. So, I mean, we have a little bit of breaking news that we can kind of cover before we do our match of the week and our showstopper here. I guess the big thing to kind of mention is confirmed a WWE Hall of Fame inductee that we were kind of expecting, and as far as we know, it's confirmed now, correct?
Oh yeah, we have 2.
Yes.
Since the last time that we talked to all of you, we now have 2 new confirmed.
Awesome.
For Hall of Fame 2020. We're talking I'll give the one that we talked about before that I was kind of like maybe, I don't know, but we're talking Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yes.
That one was just announced last night. While I was out working my night shift, I actually got a notification saying that had happened, and I shared it out to our Facebook page immediately. And then the big one, for me at least, we were looking at the British Bulldog. Davey Boy Smith is finally going to be inducted into the 2020 Hall of Fame.
Interesting. Now, let's go through them both here. For Davey Boy, who do you have induct him? I would think you would have to go Bret Hart, correct?
Why not Davey Boy Smith Jr.?
Yeah, that's the only catch, right? I mean, he worked for the company previously, but he is contracted to MLW. So, are they willing to bring in an outside talent that's currently signed somewhere else to do the Hall of Fame ceremony, right? I would be all for it, but it would be unusual for that to happen, would it not be?
I mean, it might be unusual, but it's his dad.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
There should be no question at all who is doing it. It should be Davey Boy Smith Jr.
Yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, it's either got to be him or Brett. Honestly, I mean, I really don't see any other picks. I mean, everybody else is either retired, honestly, to be brutally honest. So, close to the British Bulldogs. So, kind of harsh realities there, folks. For Jushin Thunder Liger, Rey Mysterio Jr. I think has got to be your choice. Otherwise, if you're going to use Shinsuke and Kushida, it's all going to be in Japanese. So, I mean, you can have some fun there potentially. Having said that, knowing that Vince McMahon is behind a lot of this, I think it would kind of become stereotypical, borderline racist kind of fun, knowing Vince, and they would probably have them doing some typical Japanese shtick. So I would probably stick to using Mysterio, because I think that, and that's the other issue. You had brought this up as a concern that there isn't a whole lot of Jushin Thunder Liger in the WWE context to kind of work off of here. So that's the other tricky part of this.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that, I mean, if you guys, I think it was 4 episodes ago, we actually talked about this as speculation. And that was my concern, is that we haven't seen him do very much in the WWE. I think WCW, yes. Mm-hmm. There was some WCW that was there. Yeah. But yeah, there really wasn't much WWE, and we're talking. This is considered the WWE Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's good, definitely. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very deserving. But I think I would rather see this be more of a professional wrestling Hall of Fame, Cauliflower Alley Club type of induction, instead of into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Is there any way that we can get that Cauliflower Alley or the I believe there's another one, but honestly the name of it escapes me at the moment. Is there any way that we can bring that more to kind of the forefront, like maybe put it on like pay-per-view or maybe put it on cable television or national syndicated TV, or do something with it to bring it to more notoriety? Because honestly, like the Cauliflower Alley Club is arguably more prestigious. But, I mean, a lot of wrestling fans, especially casual wrestling fans and just the general public, have no idea that it even exists, Karl, which is a damn shame, because it's definitely more of a legitimate Hall of Fame, not celebrities and all that kind of crap getting in. So,
yeah, and I totally get that. Some of the issues, though, is that it's a nonprofit, pretty much, right? So it's harder for them to be able to do things like that. It's all about the money. And if you guys do want to support the Cauliflower Alley Club and want to support us at the same time, go to collarandelbowbrand.com, where you can get 10% off your order when using promo code JK Podcast. Not only do we get a little bit of a kickback, but they also have this little button there that says round up. So you can round up your purchase to the nearest dollar. And what happens is that little bit of a roundup, whether it is 2 cents, whether it is 50 cents, goes towards the Cauliflower Alley Club. So a little way for you to support the Cauliflower Alley Club without having to make a huge donation or anything like that. And you can feel good saying that you've got some, amazing clothing from Collar and Elbow Brand and supported the Cauliflower Alley Club. It's a win-win situation for everybody in that situation. So, yeah, they're a nonprofit. And I mean, that's the hard thing about it, because they don't have the money to be able to get the TV cameras and get, all of this stuff to be able to broadcast that. Would we love to maybe see it on like YouTube, have a YouTube live kind of going, and maybe somebody just using like their cell phone and doing something maybe? Like that would be cool too, I think. But yeah, we definitely need to put a little bit more light onto the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Mm-hmm. And that, folks, is how you segue from topic to sponsor plug all in one shot. You sound like you've done that before, Karl.
Many times I have done that.
That's good stuff, man. All right, so let's do our match of the week here, our match of the week segment. I went first last week. I'm going to let you go first and give your pick first this week.
My pick this week is a title change that happened from NWA Power. We are looking at Zicky Dice defeating Ricky Starks to win the NWA TV Championship. All around, I did not expect this at all.
Yeah.
They have been pushing with the NWA Power and the TV title. What they're doing is you actually have this like lucky 7 that they're doing, and if you, as the TV champion, win and defeat 7 people, then you move on and have an opportunity at the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Wow, Ricky Starks defeated 2 people. Came to Zicky Dice being the 3rd, and this is the first time that they're doing this because Ricky Starks was the inaugural for the New Age television champion. So I'm like, okay, cool. They're just gonna let him go all the way through. He's gonna defeat all 7 people, and then from there we're gonna have him go for the world's title, and this is gonna be freaking awesome. And then Zicky Dice comes along and defeats him. I was blown away. The match itself was a good match. I was happy with it all around, but I did not expect that swerve.
Interesting. Sounds like I need to get back into some NWA Power. I haven't watched it in weeks, going on probably months now. I need to get back into it again. Karl is shaking his head at me. There's just too much professional wrestling to watch now, dude. For me, my pick...
You can't say that.
Yeah, especially right now.
What are you watching?
Yeah.
You're not watching Raw, so there's 3 hours for you. You're not watching SmackDown.
Nope.
There's 2 hours for you. Are you watching NXT UK?
That one I'm hit and miss on.
So there's another hour there.
Yeah.
So with all of that, you have time for All Elite. You have
Ring
time
of
for
Honor.
Impact. You have time for Ring of Honor. And you have time for the NWA.
I'm not watching Impact. Sorry. Not right now. I'll watch NWA, but I don't know about Impact. I don't know about Impact these days. My Match of the Week segment comes from Ring of Honor, from the most recent episode of Ring of Honor television. They've been showing a lot of the stuff from Free Enterprise, and mine is actually the leadoff match for Ring of Honor television this past week. It was the 20-man Battle Royal match that they did, and there were some interesting names that were also present for this. We had Blue Meanie, we had Gangrel, and we had the interesting spot for the evening here. Kenny King came out, and then it was announced that Dragon Lee was coming down, and then even King was like, "Wait a second, you were just in Japan like last night. How did you make it all the way from there to here?" And they did this whole match, and at the end, we find out that it wasn't Dragon Lee. We found out that it was Flip Gordon, and he was dressed in Dragon Lee attire, and he ended up winning the whole deal here and getting a future match. So I mean, just the setup to it was beautiful, and of course, you guys know that I'm a mark for the Battle Royal style match, and I thought they pulled it off really well, and a nice little surprise there at the end to find out that it was Flip Gordon on that. So cool, well done, Ring of Honor.
It definitely was, and I think one of my favorite parts of that, and by no means was I ever a BWO fan, but to have the Blue Meanie dancing with the bouncers,
the bouncers
in the middle of the ring, little bit of comedy gold happening there.
Yeah.
That was fantastic to see that they actually included a little bit of everything into that Battle Royal, and I loved it. Seeing Gangrel again come out, he held his own in there. Dude is still huge.
Yep.
Wow.
Still, yep. We had Delirious running around the ring a bunch of times. I know that's kind of his shtick, kind of his MO. Still a little kind of funky to see. Dude,
you got to work on your cardio.
Yeah, right. Some good stuff there. I enjoyed that match. The tag team match at the end too with Moff and Cobb. That was good as well with versus Gresham and Jay Lethal. That was also a great match. But that 20-man Battle Royal match, I was really digging that. That was good.
Yes, it was.
All right, man, we're going to take a brief break here. We're going to come back with our Showstopper segment for the week. I know that we're still a little ways away from WrestleMania here, but we're going to talk about what could potentially happen with WrestleMania this year because it's not set in stone here. We're going to kind of give some speculations and some thoughts about what could possibly happen here. So we'll be right back, folks. This week's episode is brought to you by Collar & Elbow. Visit collarandelbowbrand.com where you can get an additional 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast at the checkout, including this week's featured item, the Mirror Pullover Hoodie. Alright guys, Big Joe and Karufel back here on Turnbuckle Talk.
Yes, we are, guys, and we are at the best part of the show, the part that everybody waits and anticipates. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Showstopper Segment.
Absolutely, Karl. Now, this week we're, of course, talking about WrestleMania and what could potentially happen here. It's a little worrisome. The three main, well, I should say probably the four main possibilities that I'm seeing here is A, Vince just says, screw it, we're doing WrestleMania regardless. B, we're doing WrestleMania to an empty audience. Or C, we're going to postpone it to late to mid-June. Or D, going to Saudi Arabia. Given the situation and knowing the history here, I would think that as much as I hate it, Karl, I think we're going to see WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia this year.
Stop it.
I think we're going to see
Stop
it.
it.
I think we're going to see it.
Stop it. No, please, no.
I don't see it going any other way at this point. Honestly, I don't. Vince is not going to want to postpone it or cancel it. Guaranteed, he's not going to want to do that.
I know, that sucks, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see that at all.
Would you rather see it in front of an empty stadium or in Saudi Arabia?
Empty stadium.
Empty stadium. Oh, I agree. As weird and bizarre. I mean, you want to talk SmackDown being weird with an audience. Imagine WrestleMania with zero live audience. I mean, yeah, I don't even know how to process that. Are again, they're bringing all the seats too and just have it be empty seats? Like it's
yes,
freaky, man.
Yes,
freaky.
Do all of that.
Yeah.
The WWE is always there about making history and wanting to make history with different things.
That would make history.
This is history.
Yeah.
This is something that could potentially never happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So why not take the opportunity to have the showcase of immortals
in front of nobody,
the Super Bowl of professional wrestling in front of an empty arena?
Man.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's no real proper build or anything to it anyway, so, I mean, it's almost kind of symbolic of the whole thing, to be honest with you. It's almost kind of ironic.
Yeah.
There's been zero build, so let's do it in front of zero people.
Right.
And just all the lost revenue and people that are going to cancel their tickets and whatnot. Oh boy, and then the whole trickle-down effect too. You know, the stores and then the hotels in Tampa Bay that are going to make money off of this too. There's a big trickle-down effect here. If it doesn't go off as planned, the city of Tampa Bay really suffers as well.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, even with that, the city of Tampa Bay anyways is like quarantining themselves, right? And putting everything on lockdown.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, yeah, right now everything is just really up in the air, especially when it comes to arenas.
Mm-hmm.
Even bars, little bars and stuff like that are like saying, nope, we can't be running shows. You know, smaller venues are saying, no, we can't be doing this. We can't be running shows. We have to have that, you know, that quarantine happening.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have all of these people. And like you said, states and even provinces within Canada are saying nothing over a certain amount of people.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we see it here, even for there being not very much professional wrestling that comes here, but with Canadian Wrestling's Elite,
mm-hmm.
right? They're even running shows here in the Sioux.
Yep.
And shameless plug for them. The next one is going to be here May 24th.
Yeah.
Headliner for that is Shane Douglas, the franchise.
That's in jeopardy now.
It is. It's definitely in jeopardy.
Yep.
Because their shows get more than 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we going to do?
While we're talking about it, Karl, with that kind of happening, possibly in the window of all this kind of going on, something like this, and just purely speculation, is not something that I obviously want to see happening. But something like this, especially if it cancels the whole thing, this could be very crippling to a promotion like CWE. Like if this cancels their whole tour they plan on doing, because they're basically going across the whole country now, with the exception of the very far east coast of the country. If this whole tour gets canceled, I mean, damn, that's crippling to a smaller kind of grassroots promotion.
It definitely is, and it's going to be very unfortunate. Do I think that like it's going to be a total cripple on it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Danny is a very smart guy when it comes to professional wrestling, so I think that he is going to be very cautious and very safe when it comes to. Now, I mean, I can't really say that because, I mean, he just had surgery. For those of you that don't know, he had a surgery. I'm not going to get into the details on that. If you want details, you can follow Danny on his social medias. But doctors told him, 6 weeks till you get back into the gym. Like 4 days later, he's posting pictures back in the gym. Like, Danny, what are you doing, dude?
Stubborn guy, yeah. He's Canadian,
but,
right? So.
I mean, the guy's got a head and a mind for the business. So, yeah, I think that he's going to be playing things safe. He's going to be ensuring that the talent are safe, because at the end of the day, especially with Canadian Wrestling's Elite, that's what they're all about, ensuring that the fans are happy and that the talent is safe. So, yeah, I can see Danny kind of taking a little bit of a step back and going, we need to reevaluate things a little bit, but we're not going to be totally gone. Yeah.
And we're seeing so many, like literally every other wrestling promotion kind of following suit, either canceling or postponing. In the world of sports, pretty much that is all shut down. That's potentially bringing the Olympics into jeopardy too, by the way, because that's taking place in Japan. Tentatively, that's going to be up in the air. I mean, that'd be a big loss for I believe it's in Tokyo, so that'd be a big financial loss for them and everybody involved. Coming back to WWE, I mean, just what are the odds that Vince just says, screw all you guys, we're doing it in Tampa Bay with a full stadium. Screw you guys, we're just going to do it. What are the odds of that?
I can see it happening, but then I can also see it being totally shut down.
Yeah.
I can see the athletic commission coming in.
Yeah.
I can see law enforcement coming in. I can see any type of enforcement that's needed coming in to shut it down and say this is not happening.
Yeah.
So, and then I can see even the fans who might be concerned as well about what's going to be happening to them if they do decide to be inside of this group of people. And I think that you could probably see people going, nope, I want a refund. Just give me a refund.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not everyone is stupid.
No.
Okay.
I can't
say that. I can't say that the majority of people aren't, but I can say a lot of people aren't stupid. They're going to be concerned about their health and their well-being, as opposed to going to Wrestlemania. Right.
So we've run through the gambit of options. The empty arena for WrestleMania, I honestly don't see that either. I almost guarantee you Vince is not going to go for that. That leaves one option, Karl. We're going to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
That leaves one option, Joe. It is postponed.
Postponed.
With the tickets being good for when it's postponed till.
Yeah.
Right? Your tickets are still valid. We're going to accept them.
Yep.
Just we have to do it at a different time.
Yep.
Different date.
That would be
possibly different venue.
I would prefer that. I still think that Vince is going to take the money and go to Saudi. I truly believe that that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a shame. I would hope that they could still put on a decent show there, but the backlash just from everybody in the wrestling community, I think it would be pretty crazy, to say the least, if they actually were to do that. But
yeah. Yeah.
I guarantee you we'll be hearing a rant if that happens from our own Michael Jargo. That would end up being a very uncensored episode of the Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And even us here, we might come a little unhinged if that were to happen. So, yeah, just postpone it till June. maybe even relocate it. With it happening in the summertime, hey, there's a good opportunity for my scenario. Let's go to Michigan Stadium. Let's go to the Big House and set an outdoor attendance record for a live wrestling show. Can't make the excuse that we're going up there in crappy weather now. We're going in early midsummer. Let's make it happen. Let's postpone, reschedule. Let's go set an attendance record at the Big House for Wrestlemania.
Definitely, they could do that. Just make sure that if you are in attendance, bring a jacket or a parka with you just to be safe.
Well, Michigan,
because I mean, it's northern Michigan. you never know what the weather's going to be like.
Michigan in June, I think we're safe. I think we'd be safe. All right, man. Well, I guess that about wraps it up for this week. Like I said, a bit of a short episode. That might kind of be the trend for a little while, with very, relatively few things kind of going on here. But we'll still be coming on to talk about as much wrestling as we possibly can, and hopefully there's some developments, and hopefully some positive developments, and hopefully it's not all negative. As those who follow me on social media, I posted a thing 1 year ago today. I actually got to meet Angelina Love here in Brantford, Ontario, Canada. And that kind of stuff kind of reminds me, because she was very, very cool, very accommodating, very humble for somebody who's known the business. And reminds me that, hey, it's not all negative when it comes to professional wrestling. There may be a fair amount of negative stuff, but there's also a lot of good out there as well.
There definitely is. And that's what we need to now focus on. We understand that there is this pandemic that is happening and that things are kind of seemingly doom and gloom, but we need to look at the positives that are still going on out there. And there's a lot of them. I mean, we even talked about Ring of Honor and that 20-man battle royal positives going on there with the blue meanie and the bouncers and that little comedy that they did, Delirious running around the ring again, kind of a little comedic thing happening there. Gangrel showing up and, like different stuff like that. Look at the good little things. I know sometimes it's hard, especially when you've got social media, you've got the news media, you've got all these outlets that are just kind of showing the negative side of everything.
Yeah.
So remember, there is a positive side.
Absolutely. All right, guys. That wraps up for this week, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you real soon.
It's me. It's an honor to be the beat. As you can tell in the background, we are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I'd like everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all of our other shows. We have weekly content, especially lit up by the flagship show, Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.